It's time for the show. What's going on, everybody? Episode 83 smells like Wrasslin. Wow. I haven't recorded since Wednesday, and already the entire everything's changed. The entire wrestling landscape. Well, not really the entire wrestling landscape, but a lot of big stories were dropping out this week. Now, we already discussed last episode more about the stuff that's going on with CM Punk and Hangman Page and the Elite and this continuing drama and how Ryan Nemeth wasn't allowed on, as well as Christopher Daniels, and all these different rumors. And I've made it it's been well documented about how I feel about this. Another different wrinkle has been added to the continuing All In saga. One of which is Cash Wheeler getting arrested on the charges of aggravated assault with a firearm. Now, let me see if I could get some of this information here correct. Give me a moment. No, that's not it. But I mean, like, it's just never a dull day with AEW. Here we go. All right, so he was arrested for aggravated assault with a firearm. He turned himself in on Friday morning. This had happened several weeks ago. That in the state of Florida is a third-degree felony charge. This is from a road rage incident, they're saying. He is alleged to have flashed a handgun at another person during a road rage incident on July 27th. A warrant for his arrest was filed the following day. He pled not guilty through a lawyer on August 3rd and turned himself in on Friday morning. He appeared for a court hearing on Friday. He was given $2,500 bond, ordered to turn in any weapons he owns, and to have no contact with the alleged victim. There's actually video of his arraignment on Squared Circle Reddit. So this is all accessible to anybody. AEW issued a statement in response. It was as follows. AEW has been made aware of the charge, and we are closely monitoring the situation. Wheeler is fully cooperating with local authorities. So, according to Florida law, the maximum penalty for this is 5 years in prison, 5 years probation, plus a $5,000 fine. Even first-time offenders could face jail time for the offense. So, and if we want to be really specific, Florida statute section 784.021 requires a prosecutor to prove beyond a reasonable doubt certain elements to obtain a conviction for aggravated assault. These are that the defendant intentionally and illegally threatened through words or acts to do violence against the alleged victim. The defendant appeared to be able to carry out this threat. At the time, the threat created to the alleged victim. The defendant appeared to be able to carry out this threat at the time. The threat created in the alleged victim a reasonable fear that violence was about to happen, and the assault was made with a deadly weapon or fully formed conscious intent to perpetrate a felony. So, now, if he was convicted of a felony right then and there, the UK would bar him entrance into the country. You cannot be a felon, and especially for a firearms charge, and be allowed admittance into the United Kingdom. So, as of right now, the match is still on. It is still being advertised as on. There's no reason to why it shouldn't be on. More than likely, if there's ever going to be a conviction, it's going to happen after All In. So no conviction, he can still go to the United Kingdom. So, that, of course, as once the news came out, like once I saw the news, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. No way. I assumed it was just bullshit. But it started picking up traction. It started getting confirmed from reliable news outlets, and sure enough, it was right. So, the match is still going to go on. FTR and the Bucks, there was a video promo hyping up their match, so we didn't see either of the two teams on television tonight. So, I mean, hey, the match is still going on. You know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I still wanted to see Usos versus Owens and Zayn. And, like, the Usos have, like, more DWs than, like, Robert Downey Jr. in the 90s. So, it is whatever, you know? I really don't give a shit about what these guys do outside of the ring. I just want to see good wrestling matches. And I'm going to get a good wrestling match. FTR versus the Bucks should be awesome. I'm hoping Matt Jackson is healed up enough that he could wrestle a full match. It always seems like these guys just can't seem to be healthy whenever they meet each other. And then, and also, we could just never get a full arena for this to happen. I mean, the last time that they fought in a full arena was on an episode of Dynamite, but the first time they fought, it was in the pandemic era against like a handful of people, in front of a handful of people. So now this is finally going to get the setting it deserves. It's going to be at Wembley in front of 80,000+. It is confirmed AEW did break the record. I think it's funny that, the WWE has been touting their numbers for WrestleMania. And listen, like, we all know that the numbers that they announce on the night of the show are always just these like these numbers are including like staff and like everyone physically in the building, like down to Vince himself. You know what I mean? Like the crew, the ushers, everybody. So if we're going to be very specific and we're talking about like paid attendance, AEW has now done it. It's the largest pro wrestling event in history. And good on them, man, and good for the fans. We're getting more wrestling in big, huge environments like Mania. You know what I mean? Like, I like the fact that you could do this kind of card and have this many people and it be outside of the WWE. You know, like, I've been wanting to see these guys in an arena and a crowd of that size, like, ever since I started liking them. Of course, when you start liking your favorite wrestlers, like, the one thing that you imagine them doing is having a match in the showcase of the Immortals, WrestleMania, the creme de la creme, the World Cup, the World Series, the NBA Finals. Like, WrestleMania is the end-all, be-all of pro wrestling, regardless of who you're, like, what promotion you're a supporter of or a fan of. And now AEW is doing it. And I'm seeing guys who I never thought would have a chance because I figured they would just get chewed up or spit out in the WWE system being able to do that. This is awesome. Now, originally, if you watched the show on Wednesday, I was just like so freaking frustrated with this card. But, I was reminded that, like, at the end of the day, like, these are still awesome matches. I mean, we're really spoiled as pro wrestling fans to look at that. We could actually take a look at this card and actually like look down on it. Did I want to see more dream matches? Yeah. A lot of the dream matches I want to see, we just aren't going to be able to see due to injuries and stuff like that. So, my hope is it's a great show. I want AEW to put on a show worthwhile for the Brits. Because I want to see a show like this again. And I feel like the fact that they were able to do this in the UK, I think it's a very strong possibility that they could do a show like this in the United States. And if Tony Khan wanted to do this at like a MetLife Stadium and get 80,000, I think if he announces the card in advance and then puts the tickets on sale, I think then that's when, because a lot of people, like, listen, a lot of people, they bought tickets on the expectation that they were going to have the card of a lifetime. Now, it partially is and it partially isn't. MJF versus Adam Cole, going to be an amazing match. CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, going to be an amazing match. But God help them if the match is anything like that GTS that Punk pulled off tonight, because that GTS sucked. But that should be a good match. FTR and the Bucks should be a great match. Jericho and Ospreay should be a great match. Darby and Sting versus AR Fox and Swerve, that should be a good match. The 6-man tag between Ibushi, Takeshita, Omega, and Juice. Who's on the other team? Juice, Jay White, and Takeshita. Right? Yeah. Juice, Jay White, and Takeshita versus Ibushi, Hangman, and Omega. That should be a great match, So they're going to be great matches. They're going to do a stadium stampede. That should be interesting. Who the other 3 people that the Blackpool Combat Club are going to get? I'm very interested to know that as well. Hopefully their name's worth turning an eye towards. Maybe it'll be some guys from New Japan. I don't know. Now, it looks like a lot of people wanted Omega versus Ospreay at All In, but it looks like that's going to be a match that they're going to do at Wrestle Kingdom. Which, to be honest, it's a New Japan storyline, and if they want to hold on to their matches so they could bolster their own pay-per-views, I think New Japan is in a position where, yeah, they probably shouldn't be giving the Omega Ospreay match on something that isn't New Japan World. So I would 100% I 100% agree with their decision to hold on to it for Wrestle Kingdom. Now, the other plan that I heard was rumored was Omega versus Danielson at All In. Omega versus Danielson at All In, that right there justifies 80 fucking thousand. That's the match that you put on if you want to do this again at like MetLife Stadium and you want 80,000. The marquee match is going to be Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson, because that match is going to slap hard, all right? That match is going to be fucking fantastic. That's a match that with the New York crowd alone, you could do it. Omega versus Danielson got Omega versus Danielson got almost got 20,000 in Arthur Ashe. So I'm pretty sure that plus with whatever other cards that they could put up with could do 80,000 definitely. Definitely. But AEW being able to pull off that kind of attendance and for them to have any chance in the future of pulling that off, they have to succeed and have a successful show at All In. People have to come out of All In and be like, that was a great show. Now, I think All In is in a position to surprise a lot of people, because right now I would say generally the expectations aren't super high for All In. This narrative has taken place where, you know, it's been late booking, blah, blah, blah. And yes, I agree. For me personally, All In, I was expecting like WrestleMania builds, long stories with like excellent matches with a mix of juicy storyline. You know what I mean? Like the creme de la creme of both of those two worlds. You know what I mean? But between everything that's been going on in AEW with the roster and people getting injured and people in Japan and people suspended and this and that, it looks like that card was impossible to make. Now, an argument could be made that with the roster they had, they probably could have pulled off a better card. But I think that you probably wouldn't have been able to do that unless you were relying heavily on New Japan guys. And that's not what they're doing for this show. So I do think this might be the best card they could have come up with given the circumstances. And have something juicy left over for All Out, which is also supposed to be a big show at United Center. I do think that the strength of AEW's booking capability is going to come when a lot of guys get healthy, like Danielson being healthy, Jamie Hayter being healthy. Like, there are big time matches to be made that if they wanted to use those to either pop a rating or sell some tickets, I think they still have a couple in the chamber. We did get one of those like big time dream matches with FTR and the Bucks. I think that's a big time dream match. We also do get another dream match between Samoa Joe and CM Punk. This time it gets to be on a pay-per-view. This time it's not on Collision and with commercial breaks or none of that shit. So there are going to be worthwhile matches. I think Jericho and Ospreay really can surprise. I think Jericho is 100% going to want to go balls to the wall out there. He wants to be match of the night. Jericho, I think, has that I don't want to say like hubris, but like that ego, that drive, that ambition. He wants to be match of the night, and who better to do it with than Will fucking Ospreay? So Ospreay is going to be hyped up to the gills. Obviously, he's going to be put over, and he's going to be Jericho. I mean, that's what I think. No way you're having Ospreay lose in London. No way. I do think that that Ospreay is going to win. And I think if there's anyone that could put Chris Jericho over big time in a big time match, it's Will fucking Ospreay. He's one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. Now, would I have loved to seen guys like Hiromu and Okada and Naito in this show? Yeah, but New Japan's doing the smart thing, and they're holding their big aces close to the chest. If they were here's another thing I'd like to bring up. If they were smart, New Japan would stack this Wrestle Kingdom card to the gills. Let's be real, people. Wrestling is doing very well right now. All right. WrestleMania, doing up to 80. Oh, did Nashville score? Wow. I'm in the middle of watching the Leagues Cup final. And, cause obviously I'm a Messi fan. And, Messi scored that goal, but Nashville just tied it up. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah. Interesting. So, anywho, if anyone cares about this game, you're definitely going to be getting some updates about this as I go along with the podcast. It should be, I'm telling you, it should be a fun show. It really should. Like, I don't think it could be a bad show. With that card, it's impossible. I think people expected it to be an all-timer, a great show. Maybe not now, maybe next time. But I also was reminded that Forbidden Door, everyone was kind of like, I don't know. Forbidden Door was one of the, right, I loved that pay-per-view. That pay-per-view was fucking awesome. So, hey, I'm excited. WrestleMania right now, they're doing up to what? Right now, they're doing a combined total of 90,000 between night 1 and night 2 in one day. So that pretty much means that they sold around 45,000 seats per night. By the time they book this card, especially when it's like cemented in, it's going to be Cody and Roman. They could easily do maybe 60, 70,000 each night, which means they're grossing like 140, and they're going to tout that big time. You know they're going to tout that big time. It's wild. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, man. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Right now I'm just hoping for, I think that Wrestle Kingdom needs to really knock this out of the park. I think interest in wrestling is has never been higher in recent memory. And I think that the best time to put on a show to get a lot of people's eyes on a product would be Wrestle Kingdom. And to be honest, if Forbidden Door introduced people who may not watch New Japan to New Japan wrestlers, and I think that if you could promise to put on that quality of match with other New Japan guys, I think Wrestle Kingdom could be a big success. I think, right now, we already know that Naito is the winner of the G1, so he is going to be challenging right now, as it stands, the current champion, Sonata, for the IWGP Heavyweight title. That should be a great match. I'm pretty sure that Omega versus Ospreay 3 is going to be on that card. That's going to be, obviously, an all-timer. There's going to be a ton of good matches, and New Japan right now, I think, would benefit more from having AEW guys on that show. Because AEW right now, like, regardless of all the backstage heat and stuff like that, these guys are selling tickets, they're making money. You know what I mean? The ratings are decent enough where they're showing up where they need to be in the particular demos. And they have the goodwill and faith of the people who are paying the bills, which is Discovery Warner. There's no reason to think that AEW is going away anytime soon. Things are looking very good. Now, outside of the drama, if they could continue to put on good matches and continue to keep their fan base and hopefully start growing that fan base, as every company should aim to do, this is a great time. This is a great time for all wrestling fans, man. You know what I mean? I'm also hoping that the influence of Vince kind of wanes a little bit more within WWE, and they start getting back to the better booking that Triple H had when it was really clear that Vince was not around in any way, shape, or form. So I really do think that we're in for some good times as wrestling fans. I'm a little bit worried, though. I mean, listen, I have my worries with AEW. I have my worries with WWE. I have my worries with AEW in terms of, like, the locker room and these guys being able to get along, and Tony's ability to book 3 different shows, 4 different shows. He's got Rampage, he's got Ring of Honor, he's got Collision, he's got Dynamite. So that's a lot of shows for one person to book. He does have the talent, but can he keep this all together? Can the talent not mudsling publicly long enough for the company to have good grace with the people? You know what I'm saying? Like, AEW, like, I understand, like, if you have, like, issues in the workplace, you know, a big part of this is, public perception. And I get that, some people, when they feel like there's an injustice, like, they feel like the only way to make things that are hidden in the dark come to the light is to put this out on social media. But I refuse to believe that, like, none of these issues could be worked out internally and privately. Honestly. Honestly, I think what this comes down to is that there are big egos and big personalities and really vulnerable people in places of power and influence. And unless you have a strong hand, it's very hard to kind of bring order in the chaos and something like that. So, I'm very curious as to the future of AEW in terms of, like, as long as they can keep stuff together, but, like, it does look promising from a financial standpoint. You know what I mean? We have yet to see whether or not they're going to get a streaming deal. They already have a pretty impressive library already. You know, Tony has the Ring of Honor library. He already has an impressive library of events, spanning the last 5 years with all the pay-per-views and Dynamites and Rampages and now Collisions. So I'm very curious as to how Warner Brothers Discovery is going to utilize that library. There's a lot of big moving parts going on, but like I said, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Let's talk about what's going on Collision tonight. In terms of what was going on SmackDown, the only thing I could really make mention is that really stood out to me was the LA Knight storyline. Obviously, they're going to continue on with him feuding with The Miz. Miz obviously costing him a shot at the United States title. So I can only assume that the eventual end game for LA Knight is winning the U.S. Championship, which is currently right now being held by Rey Mysterio. So it looks like the first hurdle LA Knight has to go through to get there is going to be The Miz. When that match is finally going to pop off, I would assume Payback. I don't feel like a feud with The Miz should be a long-term feud, especially if this is a stepping stone to get to where he needs to be. So I'm hoping, listen, they do this feud. He wins at Payback. Maybe they even do it as the opening match because he's going to get a big pop right off the bat. Have him beat The Miz, bada bing, bada boom, and then you start infusing him into the United States title picture. So my worry is like, it's going to be a long-term feud with The Miz, and it's going to take forever. And it's like, they just have these guys treading water to the point where the crowd just kind of knows, it's not going anywhere. Like, even the most fervent, like WWE supporters, they won't rank on it, but deep down inside, they know the guys who are getting the push and they know the guys who aren't. And they know the guys, and it comes across in the crowd, like people aren't, like that fan base is well aware of what they're watching. You know what I mean? And if they're guys that they know aren't going to go over, then they just don't cheer for him as much. Point being, if you go back like 8 months ago, LA Knight was not getting the reactions he's getting now, but he would manage to get himself over in that time span to the point where it's like, listen, he pops ratings, the crowd loves him. It's stupid not to put him on television. But a guy like that, you have to reward the viewer for getting behind him. And if you just make him wait and wait and wait for something that is small potatoes in the grand scheme of things, the United States title is not a big title. It has been conditioned as a mid-card title. It's not the IC title. It's not the World Heavyweight title. It's not the Universal title. So if you're going to, you do not want to make this crowd wait that long, this fan base wait that long for a mid-card title. I'm sorry. You have him beat The Miz, and then you start pushing him towards the United States title, and that win should happen at Survivor Series, which technically should be one of your big four. So LA Knight doing that, or you delay it and have him win for his side. For the side of, I guess, I don't even know what roster he's on. I think he's on Smackdown now. So, Smackdown. So, let's see. Let's see what happens. So let's talk about Collision tonight. Let me just get these notes. Collision was a solid show, like nothing too spectacular. I mean, you could honestly tell that they really can't book. It looks like Tony's having a hard time being able to book like really good cards on the cusp of a good pay-per-view. Because to be honest, like you want everything to be building towards this. Like it's not dumb for you to throw all of your creative weight and time into this show. This show is the biggest deal for this company in its 5-year time as an organization. So yeah, you're gonna put everything into it. So yeah, these next couple of weeks of Rampage and Collision and Dynamite, they're not going to be top tier. But these pay-per-views better be. Like, that's supposed to be the trade-off that you make if you're going to start doing something like this and start pouring into one particular kind of show creatively. You're going to have to make it worth it. Samoa Joe opens up the show. He was supposed to face someone called the Golden Vampire. Before the match even started, and before Joe even got to the ring, he gets jumped by a masked man who they called the Golden Vampire. It was a gold luchador bodysuit with vampire teeth on it. The guy moved and used CM Punk's moves. He did the running knee into the corner, and then he did the GTS, which looked absolutely horrible. He takes off the mask. It was CM Punk. He takes a mic. He looks down and goes, "I accept, bitch," and walks off. So it is going to be CM Punk versus Samoa Joe for the real world title, CM Punk's title, at All In Wembley. So that match now is a go. Jay White defeats Dalton Castle, in which was a great match. I'm glad Dalton Castle got some television time. I love him. He's hella talented, great personality, great character. Jay White is a god. He's obviously being protected. He keeps on winning week after week. So if you're someone who's never watched Collision before, you are being conditioned to believe that guys like Jay White and Ricky Starks, they are main event guys. These guys are guys to be taken seriously. So I'm very excited to see what the future holds for Jay White. I think there are a lot of potential matchups for him going forward, big time matches. I'm glad he's getting some shine at All In, but I think really honestly there's bigger things to come for Jay White. Jay White and LA Knight are guys that I feel like Triple H and Tony Khan have went to the fan base and say, "Hey, listen, we hear ya. Good stuff's coming for these guys. Just be patient. Let the stories play out." Well, bitches, those stories better play out, both for Jay White and for fucking LA Knight. I want to see something important. I would like to see Jay White versus Darby Allin eventually for the TNT title, because I do think Darby is going to I think Darby needs to win the TNT title. He needs to win the TNT title and make something with it, and I think he needs to lose it to Jay White, and then Jay White becomes the TNT champ. And I think Jay White would do amazing, amazing things as a TNT champion, and I think it would be a great precursor to him being an eventual AEW World Champion, 100%. The Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson and the Guns defeat the Iron Savages, which was Bronson, Boulder, and Jack Jameson. This was just, another match showcasing the Guns as a trio and winning a match and showcasing Bullet Club Gold. So, they beat enhancement talents. The announcers talked about what's been going on with the Acclaimed, and they were talking about the retirement of Billy Gunn. And then they showed how the House of Black attacked the Acclaimed on Wednesday. They busted open Max Caster. They stole Billy Gunn's boots. Then there was a video package of the House of Black throwing away Billy Gunn's boots, and Malachi Black saying that Billy Gunn was a shadow of himself. So my assumption is it's going to be the House of Black versus the Acclaimed at All Out for the trios titles, and it looks like they're going to probably give the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn the titles. I do think I am kind of curious as to why Billy Gunn had to be taken off of television for it to happen. I'm not sure if he was injured or anything, but hey, I just hope that whoever holds the trios titles does something more with it than House of Black. I would like there to be like a storyline with House of Black instead of, hey, a couple of guys won some titles and now they want to, hey, a couple of guys won a streak of matches and now they want to challenge. I would kind of like a storyline, but we'll see. We got a video package of Jose the assistant getting a call from Rush, who was not happy about La Facción Ingobernables losing a streak of losing matches. He wanted to get Preston Vance and Dralistico to Mexico. They partied. They got pulled into a van with some masked men, and now I wonder whether or not Rouge and Preston Vance and Dralistico are going to reform. Is this also going to be the team that's going to eventually team up with Andrade? because Andrade has been feuding with the House of Black, so as well as the Acclaim. So maybe once the House of Black drops the belts, they're gonna have a trios feud with Andrade's group. So who knows? But it looks like something's going on with Rush, who signed a big time deal with AEW recently. Shivani was I think he was in the ring. Was he in the ring with Ricky Starks? No, I think he was backstage with Ricky Starks. I'm not sure, but he was with Ricky Starks. He was backstage with Ricky Starks. So he clarifies that Ricky Starks' suspension wasn't 30 days long. It was 28 days, which is pretty much like 4 full weeks. Basically, Ricky said that he's already served 2 of those weeks, so he's only going to be not in matches for the next 2 weeks. He says that his suspension ends the night before All Out, so I'm assuming Ricky might have a match at All Out. With who? I'm not sure. He's also aligned himself with Big Bill. Big Bill ended up feeding local talent Derek Neal in a 2-minute squash match. They showed a video package of Sting and Darby Allin. They actually went to a Atlanta-based indie promotion and attacked AR Fox there. It had to have been a crowd of like 30 people. So it was pretty crazy, both Sting and Darby Allin showing up. This was at AR Fox's Wrestling Academy. Let's see. Darby Allin said he could have finished him right then and there, but he wanted something left for Wembley to put in the coffin. This being Sting and Darby Allin having a coffin match with AR Fox and Swerve Strickland. He said that it's going to be Darby Allin, Nick Wayne versus AR Fox and Swerve Strickland on Dynamite. So I'm curious as to how that match is going to end, especially since there's going to be another tag match with Darby, Fox, and Swerve at All In. So we'll see how that goes. Willow Nightingale defeats Diamante. This continues a feud that's going on between the two of them, Mercedes Martinez and the TBS champion, Chris Statlander. They did a video package of hyping the FTR and the Young Bucks match at All In. Backstage, Lexi Nair's with Toni Storm. Toni Storm really playing up the distressed actress Marilyn Monroe gimmick, which I think is great. I like that Toni Storm continues to she always creates herself to be a very interesting character. You know what I mean? And I like that. And she's fantastic in the ring. So I'm hoping that more women in the women's division take after that, both with her creativity in creating a character and how fucking amazing she is in the ring. Powerhouse Hobbs defeats another enhancement talent, Kevin Q. Miro shows up on the screen. He said that he used to follow a book. This references Miro following the Bible and Hobbs following the Book of Hobbs. But now he walks alone. He said redemption would come for Hobbs at All Out and that he would piss on his cold, dead body. So it looks like it's Hobbs versus Miro at All Out in Chicago. Let's see. Darby Allin defeats Christian Cage. This is a great match. Actually, another thing that I forgot to mention was I believe it was it SmackDown? It was SmackDown because this was yesterday. SmackDown was Edge's last match at WWE. He has not signed a new contract. He does not know what he is going to be doing or where he's going to be going. That contract is scheduled to end at the end of September. So no, he will not be at All In. No, he will not be at All Out. No, he will not be at Grand Slam. This is something he'll probably show up on an episode of Dynamite or at Full Gear if he indeed does decide to sign with AEW. There's Christian, there's the Hardys, there's a lot of cool shit that they could do. They could do references to TLC. AEW could 100% get the Dudleys for one night and recreate TLC with those guys. Obviously, it would not be nearly as good as how they were when they were young men, but 100% that would bring a big crowd and a big rating to for that night. Edge showing up in AEW is a net positive for AEW 100%. And they would definitely be able to utilize him well, I believe. Hell, you could even do a match between Edge and CM Punk. That would be a big time match. You could do a match with Edge and MJF, Edge and Adam Cole. There's a lot. Edge and Jay White. There's a ton. Edge and Ricky Starks. there's so many awesome matches Edge could have in AEW. I think he is open enough and adventurous enough to go to AEW. Christian's there, and they do treat the legends well, in my opinion, in AEW. So there's a big possibility for that. That's pretty much that's it. That was really the end of Collision. Not a bad show overall. We now have 2 more episodes of AEW television before All In. We have Wednesday Night Dynamite and Saturday Night Collision. All In is next Sunday, so there will be an episode of Collision before All In. That is officially the go-home show before the pay-per-view. And then that's it, man. We will be basking in the aftermath of the biggest pro wrestling event in history, AEW All In, Wembley Stadium, 80,000+. The numbers keep growing. Now that the card's been created, now I feel like any other tickets that are being bought, it's either the resellers thinking that there's going to be a last-minute gasp for these tickets, or the interest is actually increasing as this card is being booked. This, regardless of our, my initial thoughts of the whole thing and the continued thoughts of the fan bases, they're still selling more tickets. They have not stopped. So I'm very curious as to what's going on, and the prices of it haven't gone down either. So it's not like the show's being devalued. So we got a lot to look forward to, people. We got a lot to look forward to. I want to thank you guys for joining the show. I will be back Wednesday Night Dynamite, the go-home show of Dynamite for All In. And then we will be back again next Saturday night for the go-home show of Collision. I am going to be throwing a huge friggin' party that night. It's going to be going on all day, so I will not be doing an all-in after show. If I can survive said party, I will be back on the following Wednesday. So you guys will see me Wednesday after Dynamite. We're going to be back at it again on the podcast that Saturday, and then All In, people. Very exciting time to be a fan. Exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Exciting time to be an AEW fan. Exciting time to be a WWE fan. Exciting time to be a pro wrestling fan. Pretty excited. Guys, I will see you Wednesday. Have a great night.